Hey guys, and welcome. Sam Knaak here in the studio, Ear Witness Studios. And today I just wanted to cover in a video a question that from both young people, students that I have in my classes, and even college age people and even older people moving on up. And so I'm just going to read because I just got this question again via Noah, who is an Instagram follower and a Facebook friend. And Noah sent me this question the other day, and I thought this would be a great question to answer as a YouTube video. I just think it's a great topic. I think it's something that I find myself thinking about a lot and doing research on. And so I thought, what a great moment to kind of like see if I can answer something like this as a question. So basically, this is the question that Noah sent me. He says, how do you feel about the future of the music industry? I know that's a huge question. You've been in it for 19, 20 years. So he is looking at kind of some of my live Facebook feeds and some of my YouTube channel, and I see this people kind of looking in saying, and it's kind of to me a conversation. What do you think about what's going on here? And obviously we can see that the music industry has changed a whole bunch. It's changed a lot in the last 5 or 10 years, and then I think you can see or argue that it's even having more growth and change in the last couple years here as these big kind of swings and shifts and waves come of different things. So I'm going to kind of look at this question in kind of from two perspectives or two angles. Now, to be clear, I myself am not an artist. I am not a singer-songwriter. I do not tour with a band. I predominantly in the last 19, 20 years have worked on this end of it right here, working on the production and recording end of it. And so that would be one probably perspective that people are looking for. I get young people that look at what I do and what I have here in the studio, microphones and equipment and Pro Tools rig and a mixing board, and want to know, is there a way that I can get to that? Is this something that's a viable means of income for a profession? And I think that is a great, solid question. And then also, I think, just like Noah's asking here, I think it's a broad question too of what's happening and what's going to happen. Where do you see this all going? And I first want to say that I for sure don't consider myself some great guru or expert on this topic. I, yes, have been in and throughout a number of these different elements of the music industry in the past 19, 20 years. I'm also an educator. I also constantly consider myself a student as to studying the music industry and the film industry too. I teach film production classes. So while I do this and I do some education, I feel like I'm constantly a student too, and I try to be someone that is constantly looking and learning and absorbing all this stuff and trying to process. And another side to that I would add as well is a conversationalist. And that is, as I've built relationships here in Southern California with a number of different musicians, songwriters, other producers, other studio owners, and people that manufacture equipment, musical equipment, people on the end of it of all different forms of production and sound and artistry. I'm one of those people. I try to make it a thing where I'm constantly trying to have conversations and dialogue with these people so that it's something that I am absorbing in and being part of the feedback for. So all of that to say that I don't have, I feel, one great like magical answer to all this, but my humble 2 cents. What I see is this. Going back in my time doing all this stuff, I spent a lot of those early years around some great singer-songwriters and some guys and gals that were pushing themselves to make it in the music industry. Some of them were playing shows 2, 3, 4 on a weekly basis. Many of them were songwriting daily. Some musicians practicing their craft and their trade daily, playing with multiple bands. people like myself was trying to learn this whole end of things as well, different microphones and how I could make someone's music recorded and sound well. And obviously we all know back then the methods, the ways that whole engine and thing worked were different. I had a number of friends that were signed to major record labels, and I had some that were not. And all of those guys and gals were out there building a following, playing shows, selling CDs, which is something that we don't have now. They were, I guess you could be selling vinyl or MP3 downloads, obviously. But I think that what I've seen and the dialogues I've had is that there was a path to follow. There was a standard way. I always, for years and years, used the example of a good friend of mine, Tyrone Wells. Great songwriter, great singer, hustled it, always constantly playing shows, building his branding, building his following, putting out new material, selling CDs, making connections in the music industry, and he would take the next level up, and some time would pass, he would take the next level up, and he had a path, and it worked. And as I was a producer back then, and many times even Tyrone would send me artists to work with, there was a path to follow. I could tell an artist, look at what Tyrone's doing and ride on his coattails, follow that. See if you can get into some of these same venues. Make a t-shirt, get a logo going. Let's put together a CD for you. Let's produce it, make it sound good. Let's get it duplicated. Let's get you selling it. So you could follow an artist that was within your genre and style that was doing really well, and you could kind of have a path that you could foresee that if you worked really hard and followed that and honed into your craft and stuff, you would at least get to the point where you'd be making some decent money that could kind of keep doing what you're doing and build that. Obviously today, it's just different. There's kind of no going around it. Even for this kind of thing, putting together a recording studio and doing production, the route that you would take to get to something like this, again, is different than it was 16, 17, 18, well, some would argue 20, 30, 40 years ago. And I would argue that the path that I was, and the models that I was using back then that I would show singer-songwriters and other artists and other people that wanted to do music and recording in studio, build a studio, that path was a narrower way that you could look at. Here's what you need to guide yourself within and push yourself through and kind of, again, ride on those coattails and follow what these people are doing. Now, zoom to today, 2017. And this is, I think, what people are asking in a question like this. And you have to look at what is the path nowadays. Because the way that money trickles in through the music industry, the way that artists get paid, the way that producers get paid, obviously it's been kind of the death of the big, huge, mega record labels and A&R, and now it's come down to an indie level. There is more competition. It's easier to do things like this. There's more guys building recording studios in their garage. There's more creative artists out there figuring all this stuff out, watching YouTube videos and quickly, producing and making money and making music on different levels here. And so thus you have something where the number of people you're competing against has grown infinitely. I mean, I think you could follow it on a scale. And the way that revenue and money is coming in has changed as well too. Some would argue that it's been coming down. Other people would argue that, yes, in 2000, 2001, 2002, it was at a peak for record sales and all that kind of stuff. And ever since then, it took a big dive. But if you look at streaming and revenue that you can make through licensing music and other Kickstarter, the other methods and ways that you can make money doing music, I would say it's like coming back up and leveling out. Again, all in perspective here of that there's more people jockeying for those things. Now, a whole big side to this and a whole big point I could go off on a whole nother tangent about is, why are you doing music? Is it to make a living off of? Is it to make money? Or is it something that just comes out of you and it's your heart and soul, and you'd be doing it whether you made $1 or $1 million? So there's one side of it. That's definitely something to look at that I think about a lot. And thus, when I get a question like this, many times my first thought is, what is this person's investment in the music industry, where they're looking at it and asking, where is this headed? So a lot of it can be down to what's your investment in it. And I get from parents that have kids that want to go into the music industry or the recording and production industry, sending their kids to Musicians Institute or Full Sail. I get questions from other artists, other people online that see my recording studio and hear music that I'm putting out and see different artists I'm working with that have the question of, are you making a living off this? Is that possible? Is something I can follow along that path? And the thing that I've realized is that as the whole big engine has changed, as technology changed, it comes down to this, that there is a lot more paths that kind of lead from point A to point B than there was ever before. And what I start to discover is everyone has different stories. That's why I love to interview people on my YouTube channel. I think that you hear so many stories and it encourages you and it helps you to see even more that there's ways that you can forge your own path with what you want to do. Can you work yourself up so you have a recording studio like this? These days, of course, I started collecting all this stuff 18, 19 years ago. I was buying microphones I still have today. And slowly over time, building. It's going to be a different path, but I've seen guys do it. I've seen young guys do it right around here in Southern California. Watched young guys. Now the hustle and the path is a grind, and it's not glamorous, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's, but here's the thing, is that it's there, and you can, instead of what I would always suggest people do way back when, was to follow that one path. I'm like, here, the path has been carved out for you. Get on this road and try to follow what these people are doing. Now I would just say the paths go many directions, but it's the same rules apply. Look at what other people are doing and how they got there, and then you're looking and saying, how can I make my path? Here's me. Here's what I want to get to. Here's my dream. Hopefully it's not to make $1 million, because the music industry is tough. But here's my dream. Here's where I'm at. It's looking for that formula of this, and then what's this in between, connecting to get to that. And it could be chunking up into smaller things. Maybe it's just finding your first band to work with or play in, or you write songs and it's finding an artist to use one of your songs and put it on their album. It is definitely like the stock market. It's a bunch of small investments and it compounds over time. When people ask, how did you get to all this equipment I got in here in the studio and working with all these artists that people look up to, I would say that it happened over a long period of time. Do I think I'm the most talented person in the room most of the time? No. I don't admit that when I'm in the room. But I'm constantly learning. I'm trying to sponge it in. But over a long period of time, I can look back and see where it's grown. And it's got me to the point where I'm at now. And I try to encourage that with young people. You have a kid out there shooting baskets and he's got dreams. One day I'm going to play in the NBA. You don't go up to that kid and you say, sorry, you're going to be too short and you're probably not in the right town for basketball. Or you don't squish their dreams. You shoot some baskets with them and you let them dream and you let them work. And as they get older and see the obstacles in their way and overcome those things, and maybe they get onto a high school basketball team and they win a game, and that's like the highlight, and now we've gotten to another level. Same thing with the music industry. It is tough. The money has become definitely a tricky thing. You need to have a business sense. you need to be open to making money other different ways. That's what it's come down to. I know people that are singer-songwriters that go sing for a bunch of different things because it's, a $200 check here, or they get a small thing placed on a YouTube channel and it's little bits of money coming in here. Again, the paths have become different, how everyone gets to the place that they're trying to go. So I'm going to wrap it all up. Hopefully, Noah, I answered your question about where I foresee the music industry going. And to me, if you look at it as it changed and maybe there was a little bit of a lull there, I would still argue that there's a lot of room for growth, and it's a field that's wide open and just takes time and investment over periods of time and work and make it happen. And if you need encouragement or pick me up, Facebook me or YouTube message me, because I love to hear other people's stories. That's why I like to interview people on my YouTube channel, and because it encourages me, and I want to be able to turn around the encouragement. And if you need some help or some advice with something, there's tons of people there. Get hooked into the positive people. Get hooked into the people that are doing like awesome things that you look up to. And those things are investments that grow over time. You'll get discouraged at moments. It just happens. It doesn't here with me. It does with the artists that I'm working with a lot of times. But I see the same people kind of keep going. And you can look back over a long period of time and see that something great's happened. So thanks for tuning in. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to have more interviews, more tutorials, a lot of stuff about building a song and production and how I do it in here. So thanks for watching my little discourse here on my thoughts or 2 cents on the current state of the music industry, and see you soon.